Now, you may have not really done much with any high-level programming languages, and that's fine. I mean, if you don't know anything about them, don't worry about it. You may have done some stuff with a couple of these languages, and that's great. What we're going to be doing here is just showing you how some of these languages are similar and how they're different. It's not so much about how to actually write programs in these languages. We're just kind of exposing you to some of these languages. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to look at a very specific problem, and we're going to look at how to implement the solution to this problem using 5 different languages. So these will be Ada, C++, C#, Java, and Python. So we're going to take a look at what's called the favorite number problem. Now, this isn't like a famous problem or anything. It's just a problem that we've called. And the idea with this is we're going to ask the user for his or her favorite number. And then we're going to tell the user that their favorite number is 1 greater than what his or her original favorite number was. Now, before I give you any of these examples, I want to give you a fair warning. Please do not be concerned about the intricate details of any of these languages. Don't worry about the nitty-gritty things about where like semicolons and what this symbol means and what that means. I want you to focus more on the big picture of these languages. So look for the commonalities across these languages. What are the parts about all of them that are the same that would be part of a high-level language? And then look for different types of patterns that you can identify. Look at how variables are created or declared. Look at how values are assigned to these variables. Look at how the arithmetic operations are being performed. Look at how reading input and writing output is handled. Look at how we designate the beginning and the end sections of parts of programs. Look at how we handle conditionals or if statements. Look at how we handle loops or for or while loops. But just look at how all these things are done and not so much about the syntax of the languages. So to solve this problem, we first need an algorithm. And this is going to be a 3-step algorithm. First step is we're going to get the value of the user's favorite number, and we're going to note that as n. The second step is we're going to increase n by 1, and then the third step is we're going to print a message that says the new value is n, or your favorite number is the new value of n, which should be what the original n was plus 1. So here is how the solution is done in Ada. Now, I want to mention that I broke up the program into 2 columns, just that way I can fit everything into a single slide, and it's still at least readable. So start with reading the left column and then go to the right column. So we start by importing some text IO stuff, and then we start with the procedure. So we call this favorite number. So this right here is the name of the program here. So we're trying to get some input, and we see that we're declaring n to be an integer, so that's done right here. And then notice the begin and end part. So we have the begin right here, and we have the end here. So this lets us know where the execution of the code actually begins and ends. So we have some comments in here that lets us know what's going on each step of the algorithm. So this part right here, this section, if I can draw it, takes care of the input part. So this is having the user ask it's asking the user what is the favorite number, and then int io get n is how we would input n. And then this section right over here takes care of the computation. So we see that n is going to be assigned the value of n plus 1. And then everything in this section right here takes care of the output. So we're going to output a new line, then we're going to output my favorite number is 1 more than that, and it's going to output the new value of n, and then we end the program. So here's the same solution, but now it's written in C++. So you're going to see some differences from a syntax perspective, but that's fine. So the main part actually starts right here. So this is where we would actually start the instructions of the algorithm. So we declare a variable right here, this int n, we'll declare it. Then we would ask the user for their favorite number, so that's done right here. So the cout actually handles output, cin handles input. So we would output what is your favorite number, and then we would input the value of n, so we would store something in there. The computation of n plus 1 is down here. And then this section over here will take care of the output. So we would this end L part just means we're going to output a new line, so we're just going to print a new line, and then the next thing will start on a different line. But we're going to output that my favorite number is one more than that, and it prints out the new value of n. Here is the C# version of the solution. So let's just take a look at how it works here. So the very beginning of our code is going to be right here. Is static void main string args. Don't worry about the namespace or the class that comes before it. That's specific for C#. We're not going to deal with that in this course. But the code begins here, and we see the next line, this int n, is where we would declare our variable n, or how we would create it. And notice that this is the exact same way this was done in C++. In fact, in some languages, the way we would do certain operations, such as declaring variables, are identical from a syntax perspective. This portion down here is where we would take care of the input. So this console.write would ask the user, or it would output a message to ask the user to say what is your favorite number, and then this convert.toInt32 console.readLine is the input statement, and that result would be stored in n. And then we see up here the way that we would do n equals n plus 1. It's the same way as in other languages. And then finally we have this portion right here, which will take care of writing the output. So this console.writeLine will actually write the results. So it's going to write my favorite number is one more than that, and it'll say that it is n. Here is the Java version of the solution, and you may notice that there are some similarities between Java and C# in terms of syntax. We're not too concerned with it, but we're just going to take a look at where the portions of the algorithm are in this code. So we'll see that the beginning is right here, where we have public static void main string args. Once again, don't worry about the word public class that comes before it. So we're not going to deal with that. So we actually declare two different variables here. So that's all done right here. So the int n is how we would declare our n variable, which is going to store the favorite number. And then we have this scanner inp, which is going to be used to handle our input. So then we have this section down here, which takes care of asking the user for the favorite number. So system.out.print handles writing stuff to the monitor. So we're going to ask what's the favorite number. imp.nextInt will take care of inputting an integer and storing that in n. We then compute the results up here. We compute n plus 1. And then finally, this section right here, once again, will take care of the output. So system.out.print, once again, will print ln, which is print line. It'll print a new line. So we're going to say my favorite number is one more than that, and it's going to print out n. And then finally, we get to Python. And this is why I've been saying don't worry so much about the syntax, because this looks very, very different compared to all the other languages that we've seen so far. So what we will see with some of these high-level languages is that there is a huge variance in how the syntax is done. But this will sure enough do the exact same thing that all the other programs have done. It's just done with fewer lines of code. So the way we would get our favorite number is we actually are doing a variable declaration and our input statement at the same time. So that's all being done right here. If I can get the circle to show up. There it is. And I should even kind of retract that, because we technically don't really declare any variables in Python. We just kind of say we want n equals something, and Python goes, okay, here's n. So it just kind of automatically creates that for us. So we don't really need a declaration statement. But this whole line will take care of inputting. This input part right here will actually ask the user to enter something. So what's inside the parentheses would be the statement that we see on the screen. We would input that, it gets stored in an integer, and then gets stored in n. And then this line right here will take care of the computation. So, I mean, so far as the math notation is concerned, it's been the same in all languages. And just n is going to be equal to n plus 1. And then this part right here will take care of the output portion. So we just do a print where we just say my favorite number is one more than that, and then it prints an n.